Can you let us know about yourself and your professional background?
Thank you for the opportunity to share my story with other smart sports bettors. I am a university statistics professor from Canada. But most importantly, I am the father of two young boys aged 8 and 6. Their names are Maverick and Jay, which explains why I operate under the nickname Professor MJ. They are in good health, they are smart, and they are very kind to others. In my mind, they are simply perfect. I could not ask for better kids. My girlfriend, who is the mother of my boys, has been with me for the past 16 years. Since I was a child, I have always been passionate about sports, both playing, hockey, baseball, soccer, badminton, and watching. At school, I have always been good with mathematics. Sports betting came into my life naturally, but of course, as a teen, I was pretty bad at it. But I kept working on my craft and eventually became better. I got my bachelor's degree in statistics at Laval University in Canada. Then I moved to Vancouver for a couple of years to get my master's degree, still in statistics, at Simon Fraser University. Finally, I got my Ph.D. in stats back at Laval University. I was immediately hired as a professor there, and that's what my job has been for the past 15 years.
What is your passion and which team do you support not betting related?
As a fan, my favorite league by far is the NFL. I absolutely love watching NFL games. As a matter of fact, I watch all televised games. And when many games are on at the same time, I use laptops in order to watch 3 or 4 games simultaneously. During the off-season, I read player news every single day to make sure I stay on top of everything that's happening in the league. I have always preferred to root for small market teams, so as a kid I decided to cheer for the Buffalo Bills and the Green Bay Packers. I have stuck to these two teams since then. My second favorite sport to watch is hockey. Not very surprising given that I am Canadian. I hope the Quebec Nordiques come back in the NHL one day. Otherwise, I also like the other team from the province of Quebec, the Montreal Canadiens. I also love junior hockey, where I have been following the Shawinigan Cataracts since I was 8 or 9 years old because I have family there. I also follow baseball and basketball, but I do it mostly for betting purposes though. I used to be a huge Montreal Expos fan, but I was devastated when they moved to Washington. I never found a new favorite team in MLB.
1-2 pitch. In the air. Center field. Grissom. El Presidente. El Perfecto.
When did you get into sports betting and how?
In 1999, when online sports betting was still fairly new, I realized that the odds from one sportsbook to the other could vary a lot on each game. As a matter of fact, they would differ so much that you could bet both sides and guarantee yourself a profit no matter the outcome of the game. That's what we call arbitrage betting. I wrote an article that unveils all details pertaining to this risk-free betting method on my website at professormj.com if you want further information. Back in 1999, the arbitrage opportunities were plentiful, which is not the case anymore these days, unfortunately. All of my free time between 1999 and 2003 was devoted to this. Most students would party and go to bars, while I was the nerdy guy staring at his computer screen and making money for hours. It eventually allowed me to buy 80% of my brand new house with cash upfront. Several great memories from this wild adventure. I'll never forget the December 29, 2002 game between the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Chicago Bears. Why? Because that turned out to be the most profitable arbitrage bet I ever made. On this occasion, I won what I used to call a jackpot, which meant winning both sides of the bet, rather than winning one and losing one. All sportsbooks had Bucks minus half a point on the third quarter, but Bet WWTS, which does not exist anymore, had the Bucks plus half a point with favorable odds as well. I ended up taking Bucks plus half a point with that bookie and Bears plus half a point with other books. Remember, we're talking about a bet on the third quarter alone. Needless to say, I was praying for a tie on that particular quarter because I would end up winning all bets. With roughly 6 minutes left in the third quarter, neither team had yet scored any points. So far so good, but the Bears were driving at the Bucks' 38-yard line. Thankfully, they were stopped and they elected to punt the ball. With 2 or 3 minutes left, the Bucks completed a 20-yard pass to make it to Chicago's 34-yard line. They were getting in field goal range. They moved the ball inside the 25, but thank God the quarter ended scoreless before they scored a field goal in the early fourth quarter. I was screaming and running all over the house. I had just made approximately $6,000 US. Huge money when you are in your early 20s. My parents and friends thought I was crazy, thinking I could beat online sportsbooks by sending money over to countries like Antigua or Costa Rica. Or they thought even if I won, I would never get my money back. After seeing checks come in the mail regularly, they all changed their minds. To be 100% honest with you, proving them all wrong was a great feeling. It made me feel like I had accomplished something great. I really enjoyed the 1999-2003 period because of that. It became the main focus of my life at that time, and I will never forget this out-of-the-ordinary experience.
What was the critical point when you started benefiting from sports betting?
Clearly in 1999, when I discovered that arbitrage betting was easy to do online, it was a risk-free method, and it was super lucrative. When I stopped doing it in 2003, because my hourly profit became too small, since sportsbooks began to have very similar lines between each other, which translated into very few good opportunities per day, I had to evolve and find other ways of beating online bookies. It took a lot of hard work, plus the fact that I also took 9 years of university courses in statistics.
How important do you think are numbers, statistics, and sports betting models for successful bettings?
Numbers are critical if you want to make money in the sports betting world. Plain and simple. Granted, I'm not sure you can be successful if you only look at numbers but never watch games, or follow player news, or stay on top of everything that's happening in the league. I truly believe you need a good mix of numbers and knowledge about the sport or league in question.
What is your favorite league and sport to bet on?
The NFL is the league that I follow the most, but it also turns out to be the most difficult league to make money. I still find ways to beat NFL lines, especially on player proposition bets, which are very lucrative. Speaking of NFL prop bets, the Super Bowl is like Christmas to me. Bookies offer a wide range of prop bets. There is no way they can have lines that are all accurate. I find lots of bargains every year. During the 10 days leading to the big game, I spend countless of hours analyzing them. I went to Las Vegas for the Chiefs versus 49ers game so that I could place bigger bets. I made a series of videos showing my whole trip there. I ended up making 11 big bets, most of which were underdogs. Still, I finished with an astounding 9-2 record, which yielded a profit of $8,330 US. The following year, I couldn't go to Vegas due to COVID-19 for the Chiefs vs. Bucks Super Bowl. I stuck to online sportsbooks and shared my picks with my members. I found 34 good bets who finished with a 24-10 record. Then, for the Rams vs. Bengals meeting, we racked up 21 wins and 11 losses. Those great numbers are the result of very hard work and a lot of calculations. But it's all worth it every single year. NBA player proposition bets are also a good source of income for me. I also like college football and basketball because there are so many teams and games, so you always end up finding good opportunities.
What does your typical betting day look like?
The morning is where it all occurs. My mind is fresh, so that is the best time to analyze games. I start off by looking at the games that will take place. I use a combination of specific betting systems that I have developed after analyzing years and years of data, and also my own knowledge about the teams and players. I place my own bets and I share them immediately with my members. Then it is time to make my daily YouTube video presenting one of those betting plays. So I write a post that explains all of the reasoning behind the pick. I dress up, I set up my little studio with some sports gears, and I shoot the clips. They are then sent over to my cousin, who is my video producer and has been doing an incredible job for me. He does its magic by editing the clips, adding music and graphic elements, and uploading on YouTube. Once I am done, I usually still have a bit of time before lunch, so I take this opportunity to do all kinds of things, like tracking my bets in Excel, responding to messages, or doing research for new betting strategies. After lunch, I do work for my job as a professor.
What have you found most challenging about sports betting?
Let me tell you one thing I find challenging about sports betting and another that's challenging about being a sports handicapper. Sports betting has its ups and downs. Even when you earn several thousands of dollars every year, like I do, I can promise you one thing. There will be stretches of several days or weeks where things will go very badly. Guaranteed. From a bettor's perspective, these periods of time can be difficult to handle. You start questioning yourself and your methods. You may start betting irrationally. So, I guess I'd say that the most challenging part of sports betting is to keep a cool head even during tough times. You need to stick to what has been working for years and not worry about what has happened recently. And don't ever try to chase your losses. From a sports handicapper's perspective, it is still really hard for me to deal with people who focus way too much on recent outcomes rather than looking at the big picture. I am not joking at all when I say the following. If you post your picks publicly and win 100 straight bets before losing 20 in a row, people will bash you and call you the worst handicapper on the planet despite your awesome 120 record. Many people only care about recent results, which makes no sense. Just to give you a concrete example, at some point I held a jaw-dropping 26-11-1 record on my free YouTube baseball bets. However, I had lost my last 2 wagers, but the whining and complaining had already begun. Some people posted some comments about my picks being trash. I also remember vividly 2 different people saying something like, "He shares his worst picks on YouTube but keeps the best ones for his paid members." I cannot believe the crap I am reading online. These guys were claiming I was purposely choosing to share my worst picks on YouTube, despite having a 26-11-1 record on that platform. So, in short, 99% of sports bettors are nice, but the remaining 1% is very hard to deal with. I know I should just ignore them, but I find it hard not to respond and show them how their comments make no sense whatsoever. I am still working on myself to improve in that area and simply not bother with these guys.
What tools do you use to help make betting analysis?
I use Excel a lot in order to track my bets and to see how each betting strategy has performed. When I want to analyze data on many seasons from a given league, I use the free statistical software called R. It is a great tool, but the main drawback is you need to learn its programming language. I had to learn it when I was a student at Laval University, and it turned out to be a great investment of my time.
What kind of strategy and money management do you use?
I like to keep things simple. I often recommend people to bet 2% of their bankroll on each wager. Personally, I vary each bet such that it lies between 1 and 4% of my bankroll, depending on my confidence level. However, I tell people, and especially amateurs, to avoid at all costs betting more than 4% of their entire bankroll on any given play. Even when you feel it is a lock, don't do it. The bets we like the most are often the ones we lose. Also, I would feel like my answer would be incomplete if I did not promote one of my biggest mantras. Don't do parlay bets. I may sound harsh, but parlays are sucker bets. Ask any sportsbook manager and he will tell you that as soon as he sees a customer making parlays, he knows this customer is going to lose in the long run. I made a video that shows the math, and the numbers are mind-boggling. You have no chance of being a winner in the long run if you make parlays. That tip alone is worth hundreds or thousands of dollars because that is how much you will save if you stay away from them. There will always be some people saying, "Hey, one day I won $2,000 on an 8-team parlay," which proves that what you are saying is wrong. Well, try making 8-team parlays every day for the next 10 years. I would bet my house that you will end up in the red in a very big way. That being said, I still make a few parlays once in a while. Why? When I have won too much money in a given account, I start making a few parlays while betting smaller amounts just to give the impression that I am a loser who simply got lucky. That helps avoiding getting limited or banned from the sportsbook in question. It usually gives me more time before they kindly tell me to take my money and leave.
What would be the biggest advice to new sports bettors who wants to become successful handicappers like you?
If you don't mind, instead of giving just one piece of advice, I would like to share 5 critical, quick tips for rookie bettors. Number 1. Only invest money that you can afford to lose. Make sure that if your bankroll gets wiped out, it won't have any effect whatsoever on your quality of life. Sometimes I get customers who tell me, "I need a good pick, please give me one." That's a bad sign. You should never be needy with your sports bets. Personally, I have tens of thousands of dollars in my various accounts. If I lost everything, I would be pissed for a while, but I would not need to eat Kraft dinner for 3 months because I am short on money. The truth is, it would not change anything to my life. That's the way it should be for everyone. Tip number 2. Make sure you have an account with at least 3 different sportsbooks. Ideally, you want between 5 and 10. Not only will you obtain bonuses from each of them, but the most vital advantage is you will be able to shop for the best line. The vast majority of people underestimate the importance of squeezing the highest odds as you can when placing a bet. If you keep betting at minus 110 odds while you could get minus 105 every time, that adds up to a huge chunk of money in the long run. Tip number 3, as discussed earlier, don't do parlay bets, except if you want to look like a square bettor, which means a mediocre one. Tip number 4, stay disciplined with the amount you are betting. More precisely, don't try to chase your losses. Stick to a fixed plan, like betting 2% of your bankroll on each play. It sounds easy, but many bettors deviate from their plan as soon as they hit a speed bump. One day or another, after losing several bets in a row, they go, "Oh, I really think Team X will win tonight. What the heck, I'll just bet the rest of my bankroll on them." Tip number 5, for God's sake, please stop putting too much weight on the performance of the last 10, 20, or 30 picks. Sports betting is a marathon, not a race. Posting a 5-15 record over the past 20 predictions is not out of the ordinary. As a matter of fact, if you place more than 1,000 wagers per year like I do, it will happen to you several times a year. If it happens to you or a person you are following, it does not mean you or that person sucks. Focus on the long-term record. That's all that matters.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you help other sports bettors and how they can reach you?
Helping sports bettors from around the world is the number one priority of the Professor MJ business. I do my very best to attain this goal. I help bettors in 5 different ways. Number 1, articles that teach valuable lessons. Some examples: stop doing parlays, or should you hedge your bet, or value betting, my favorite form of gambling. Number 2, free daily picks on my YouTube channel. Number 3, paid picks. For years and years, all I wanted to do was teaching some betting lessons and sharing one pick per weekday with my followers. They kept asking for all of my picks, and I finally agreed to do it starting in September 2020. So, in short, I am literally sharing with my members all of the bets I am personally making. Right now, I do it on my Patreon page, but very soon they will be posted in my own Professor MJ app. Number 4, a free webinar for beginners. This is a project in the making. I want to help out people who want to get involved in the exciting world of sports betting while helping them avoid the biggest pitfalls and answer the most common questions. Number 5, writing a book. I have written about 80% of a book where I will unveil all of my secrets to being a successful sports bettor. That being said, people can reach me via email at winner@professormj.com. I would like to share an inspiring story for those of you who like to dream big. Before I even began to work as a university professor, I really wanted to be financially independent as soon as possible, so that I could quit my job and enjoy life. I set my goal to attain this objective at age 40. It was an ambitious goal, but I truly believe in the following quote: "Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you will land among the stars." I am excited to announce that this is exactly what is about to happen to me. I have decided to quit my job in September 2022 at age 43. Some could argue that I missed my goal by 3 years, but it is still a lot better than retiring at 60 or 65 years old like most people do. I worked extremely hard during my free time for 15 years in order to gain extra income. Some people did not understand and believed I was greedy and only wanted more money. I did not want money for the money itself. I wanted money for the freedom it would bring me. Starting in September 2022, I will devote most of my time to my sports betting activities, my family, and hobbies. But the truth is, I don't need to work for the rest of my life. I'm just going to keep making bets and growing my Professor MJ brand simply because I am very passionate about those activities. It does not feel like work at all, but rather like a hobby. So I guess my main message is: set big goals and don't let anyone tell you that they are impossible to achieve. If you want something bad enough, you will find ways to get it. You are better than you think. Okay, I'm done collecting the money I just threw on the floor.